No, because I put it on in the background.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. We're live.
Woo!
We are here for episode
It
41 of the Link Cable Gaming
made it.
Podcast.
We
A
did it.
milestone.
And yeah, we got a special guest here with us, Mike from Mike's Nerd Cave. A returning
Yay.
guest is always welcome to join us
Hey
and
all.
talk. He's got lots to say. We have lots to talk about. We've got shoot, this has been a crazy week for Nintendo with releases and character releases in Smash Bros. And Twitch going crazy. And I don't know, there's just a lot going on. So let's just get started right away and just quickly go around and see what everyone's been playing the last couple days and what everyone's been doing since last week. So let's go with Zahi. You want to go first? I think you got kind of the
Excellent,
most
man.
exciting news, I think.
I would
Yeah.
actually love to go first. So, to start, I've actually, before I get into the other exciting part, I just want to put it out there. Link Cable, we got a review copy for one of Ubisoft's most newly released game of Far Cry 6. Our review is up there right now. So I've actually been doing a lot of Far Cry 6 in the past week, and it's a crazy fun game. It suffers from a bit of major repetitiveness. I um I never played I haven't played Far Cry since 2 and a bit of 3, and I mostly watched my friends play Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and a bit of New Dawn, and Primal, mostly a lot of Primal for some reason. So it was nice to actually finally sit down myself to enjoy a Far Cry game.
It's funny
And
talking about Far Cry though is so all of us do like a quick pre-show before we go live, and we're talking about all the big events this week and everything, and not one of us even thought about Far Cry coming out this week,
that is correct.
which is
No.
like a big game that usually we would be talking about like crazy. And
Mhm.
I think the other news that came out is still big, but Far Cry 6 is like a big
It's
release. I
a
didn't even think
huge
about it.
I think it's one
yeah.
of those things they talked about it so much for like 2 years before launch,
Yes.
where it was almost
Overkill.
fatigue, where people are like, meh, I know this is coming out, but I feel like I've already played it.
Definitely overkill
So
on that.
so as someone who's never gone start to finish and actually in a while at least played a Far Cry game in the new modern era of Far Cry, a lot, I really enjoyed the game. The voice acting I found was absolutely phenomenal. I love the cutscenes that they had, but I found there were too far and few between. The general like gameplay and exploration of Yara, the fictional world that Far Cry 6 is set in, is like it is beautiful. But
Mhm.
I'll be honest, I recently played another very similar game by another studio who released their director's cut recently, and I found their open world and their mechanics to be a bit of fresh air in the grand scheme of things compared to how I found Far Cry 6 was, and that would be Ghost of Tsushima as well.
Mm.
So by
Uh,
Sucker Punch. And I'll tell you something, as amazing as the world feels in Far Cry 6, and the story, the plot is actually great, and the exploration is a lot of fun. But I have been, maybe it's because I like the aesthetic more, but I don't know. I've been enjoying Ghost of Tsushima a bit more than I have Far Cry 6. Something about it feels a bit more personalized and
Hmm.
fresh. You know,
the
it
stories are a bit deeper, I think.
yeah, it's a much
Yeah.
deeper story, and I think having really played a lot of Far Cry 6, a lot of my big issue with the game really felt like you have a deeply intricate and personal story of Yara with like messed up issues. Like in the first couple of minutes, you have like slavery, racism, uh, tons of difficult just subjects that one would even talk about going live, and like oppression, uh, cancer, the loss of like life, and the next scene, you're exploding people on fire with bazookas, and you're just like down with the establishment. And there's just something that tonally about Far Cry 6 is hitting me wrong. Like it's it feels like it's dipping too much, and it's trying to be like this political stance about like anti-oppression and tearing down the government, but like fascism is bad, and it's just living in a police state is bad. and at the same time your character just is like nuking tanks left, right, and center with a like jetpack. And I'm
Yeah.
like it feels wrong, like something feels off about it. It's the issues it tries to tackle, and then it's
I've
like,
heard that it's there, people were kept saying it's very juxtaposed, where it's like this is a very deep game and it's really serious, and it's
yeah,
like this is like real life shit people are talking about, and it's like wow, this is intense, and then we have an alligator with a shirt on that's following you, and it's like okay, well we can't. It's
Yeah.
like which is it? Like it's good to have a game that's very serious and silly, but you take it too far both directions, and it just kind of makes it feel weird.
yeah.
So
I've
Now,
heard the exact same stuff.
yeah,
so I'm as like I don't really, I can't base my experience off of like the Far Cry 3, 4, and 5 villains, like Voss and who was it in 4? Pig and Min.
yeah,
Like all great, good,
Mhm.
and in Far Cry 5 is the only one. It's in New Hope, I know that. But like I felt it kind of blended a bit better, but
Mhm.
it's something felt off. And this isn't like other people. You know what? I'm knowing that I'm not the only person that kind of experiences that is good, because something about it kind of felt off. And I'm rocking our Far Cry New Dawn shirt today. I don't think you can see
Nice.
them, but yeah, so
oh
kind of in
nice.
celebration.
I would. I think one of the things that Far Cry kind of feels like is it feels like a game that's still stuck in like 2010, 2012. Even the new versions, it's the same gameplay loop kind of thing. I know they don't have the towers. It's just unlock the map like
Yep.
running around now, which
Mhm.
is a new thing, but overall the gameplay loop feels like the 2010 AA game it was before the franchise really blew up with Far Cry 3.
hmm
And that's not a bad thing. That's still a very good game, but I think it people expect everything to be this magical AAA experience
Yep.
and don't always appreciate like something like Far Cry for what it is at this point.
Yeah.
Um and I think it's still probably a really good game. I haven't gotten the chance to
It
play it
is.
yet.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
On a gameplay and technical standpoint, it is good.
Mhm.
But on a like repetitive lack of variety that it kind of just brings, it it doesn't feel like for some reason I feel like I want to explore Tsushima and the islands of Iki in Ghost of Tsushima more than I do want to explore Yara and its little continents to unlock the different guerrilla fighters. Like I don't know what it is, but it's just the game. It's good. Mechanically, it feels polished, but
It's
there's that.
it's funny, kind of adding on to what Mike said. I've heard a couple different other podcasters and reviewers and stuff talk about it, and all basically what we're saying. But one thing that really kind of made me think was the fact that Metroid Dread came out, and Metroid Dread, and I haven't played this yet, but from what I've heard and seen and what this person's talking about, I was listening to was that game is basically rinse and repeat of Metroid Dread, and people love it. No one's complaining. This is the same old game
Fusion,
as
yeah.
before. We all want exactly the same, and if they never changed Metroid's formula, everybody would love it. But Far Cry
Mhm.
comes out doing the exact same thing, rinse and repeat, and everyone's up in arms, like, "Come on, what are you doing? This is the same thing. It's okay." And it's just funny that we think that. And I don't know why. I don't
I
know why it's acceptable,
I have
and it just feels weird to like think about it that way because it's like, wow, it is kind of that way, but I don't know what gives Metroid the like pass. Maybe because they don't have games very often, whereas Far Cry seems
Yeah,
to come out
it
exactly.
pretty.
That's
doesn't
what I
feel
was.
like a money
I was gonna
machine
say
of a
fatigue.
company.
Which one,
You know?
Nintendo with that?
No,
Oh,
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft,
oh,
yeah.
Ubisoft.
I think it's the fatigue of there is only a handful of new Metroidvanias coming out, and there's a lot more now than there was for a
Right.
while with all of the indie
Yeah, the
games
indie stuff
and a
blew up.
lot of very good ones. But it's a it's a much fresher genre to the generation that is growing up now compared to they've been playing these open world 3D masterpieces essentially for the last 10 years.
You have
And
Assassin's Creed on top of
Yeah,
that.
I
you
wonder
can
if
even
it's just
say
because
GTA 5.
I wonder
I
if it's
mean,
just because they all feel slow. Like everything you're mentioning,
mhm,
both Zahi and Mike, like it's the open world stuff is just slow, and I wonder if that's just very fatiguing in itself versus Metroid, which is even though it's still kind of the same thing since the beginning, it never feels like you're going out and doing useless stuff. Maybe because like you
An
said, oh, go
open
get
world,
towers. Like that stuff gets kind of
it
it gets
does.
old.
An open world with too much create it. It's just, well, how can I get through this? And an open
Right.
world with not enough stuff just feels too barren.
Yeah,
The
it's gotta have
the
that
sweet
balance. It's tough.
it, it's like the sweet spot isn't there. What's up, Alex?
I've got a thought on this, and like you're comparing Far Cry 6 to Ghost of Tsushima a lot,
I am.
and I'm thinking like I'm wondering if the problem is, and this is something I've personally felt when playing first-person shooters, they don't work in an open world. Like it's too much. An open world gives you freedom to do whatever you want. It gives you all that variety. But a first-person shooter, you're always just looking down the barrel of a gun. So where's that variety? Where's that variety come from? Where can you be in an open world and do things that are open world style when your gameplay style is really point and shoot? Which is why I think like a game like Ghost of Tsushima, even Assassin's Creed, kind of works better in an open world setting because you have more flexibility as your playable character. Whereas in a Far Cry, you could have a big, massive open world, and look how big it is. You're really just pointing and shooting.
Is there really any other? Sorry to interrupt you, but is there any other first-person shooters or open world? I can't think of anything.
Just
Oh,
cause.
the Far Cry.
That's not first person. That's third person.
The Fallout games
it?
are a little bit
Yeah.
more open world, and
Oh
Fallout
yeah,
is first person.
Fallout. Yeah,
Skyrim,
that's-
Skyrim, pretty much Bethesda
Skyrim,
in
yeah,
general.
I didn't even think of those ones. Yeah, you're right. I
Um,
wasn't thinking.
so
I'm
yeah.
thinking like shooters, but yeah, I didn't think of those.
Everything Bethesda essentially.
But those were
can
pretty
be,
good. No one ever complains
BioShock.
that those are the same.
Yeah.
And I would like
Yeah,
to
you're
say,
right.
in addition, Far
I
Cry
don't know.
6
It's weird.
feels really watered down. Um,
Mhm.
I don't like. Okay, my RPG fans out there will just have an issue with this. It just feels like they made it so that your character is, you can't RPG your way into choosing stats and go into a specified loadout or a specific.
You can rocket propel grenade your way into any environment in Far Cry. I don't know what you're talking about.
But in 6, you don't have character stats. Like
Yeah.
you don't have, like, I can't say I don't want to go a giant rocket bazooka and into like the enemy camp. I want to go like super stealthy. Now it's not on your character, it's the gear you wear and the guns you use. So rather than you beefing up your character stats, it's just more about equipables. And Far Cry, in a matter of 3 seconds, goes from super quiet, sneaky, trying to get into the base and towers, to giant explosions literally everywhere.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. There was one, I know I'll be talking too much about this, but there was one thing in Far Cry 6 that I did enjoy very much, and it was the personalized story missions. Kind of the side quests, but the side quests where they were actually like missions and not like fetch quests or like escorts. I started one of these, and it went from this mobile assault onto a base that transitioned into like a guerrilla warfare battle that went to the sea, that all of a sudden had helicopters and Apaches just flying by. And you had to get off the boat and get onto like a mini boat and start shooting the jets and stuff from the boat. Like it has great missions. It's
Mhm.
just, I feel like their A to Z mission, which like beginning, middle, end, great, but the open world and everything that kind of surrounds that, what I found was a great core. Like if Far Cry was a linear story, I feel, that had excellent like missions, I think it would just be, I don't know, maybe a better experience in what I would be looking for. But other than that,
Yeah.
that was my big game of the week. The other thing is, I think we can get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might be talking for too long if I do that.
You're
Yeah,
good,
we'll
you're
we'll
good.
jump into that because I can kind of co-host that with you, and I'm sure we all have some thoughts too.
Absolutely.
I guess I'll go next, and then we'll have Alex and Mike. We'll let you headline tonight with what's going on with you. So this will be my last week I talk about this game, and I know I've gone and over talking about our game Elix, but I finally finished it.
I want to know more about it.
I
Hey.
finished
Really?
Elix at 31 and a half hours.
Nice.
It wasn't too long. I played in very short sessions for quite a while, so it took me a long time to beat this game, but it's
You
been...
actually beat it?
I did. I don't know what my motivation was to keep playing this at the
You beat
beginning,
a
at
game?
least. Yeah, I know. I don't really beat games usually, so this is how much I love this game. It's so hard for me to stay focused. I bought this game originally just randomly because I thought the cover art was cool at a used game
And it
store.
was cool. It is
And
really
I
cool.
fell in love with it. I've told the story of what this game is 100 times, so everyone's probably tired of me saying it, but I cannot recommend this game enough. I had so much fun exploring the world and doing the side quests, doing the side missions, figuring things out. I don't know if this game is kind of a, I wouldn't say budget title, but it's definitely not like AAA type. It's definitely
A
like,
B game?
yeah, it's like kind of like that.
It's a really good B game?
It's a really
like
good game with a
double
lot of
A.
heart in it, and there's a lot of like you find, because the game that you're living in a world, and there's like the old world, which is like our present time, and you find stuff from the old world, and you're constantly finding photographs of like stuff from back then, and all the photographs are like burned pictures of all the staff that made the game at the company, and it's so cool. Like, it's just pictures of like people that work at Piranha Bytes.
There's
So
so
that's
many
awesome.
old, like, that was such a thing to do, like back in like the GameCube, PS2
Yeah,
era.
yeah.
You would always find pictures of the developers.
it was
and
cool.
games.
So I had fun going around finding those and audio logs that had like side stories. I don't know if the branching storylines of like dialogue and stuff are as massive as like a Mass Effect or something, but I feel like they had kind of a impacting effect. There's a couple things at the end. I'm not sure if it happens to everybody or if it just happened because of what I chose. Because without spoiling it, you choose one of the factions, and it seemed to have pretty big I hate this word. Implications.
Implementations.
Yes.
Implications.
On how the story ended, and I don't know if that happens to everybody or it was just what I picked. I don't know. So I highly
Who did
recommend
you
this
pick?
game. I really like it. What was that?
Who did you pick? The modern day, the
So out of the factions, I
Casual
picked the Game of
speakers,
Thrones type people, the Berserkers.
nice.
I was all about them, and so the whole game I used their weapons and upgraded those. So I had a one-handed axe, and then I switched up and upgraded to a one-handed sword with a shield. I was actually using the shield from the sci-fi people for a while because it was better, but then I was able to upgrade mine because I joined the faction. So I went back to a Game of Thrones style shield and used that instead. It's just, the whole game's bonkers. Like, it's so fun. I would carry a rocket launcher with me also from the sci-fi people. So I was kind of mix and matching, which is something that they do allow you to do. You just get special armor from what faction you get for doing quests. So you like level up within your faction. So you get paladin gear and stuff, and then it just like over trumps everything you've had otherwise. So overall, really good game. I will stop talking about Elias, but
Well, you were
I wanna-
like, I haven't been on here. You were messaging me about it a bunch,
it
so
is
I've
so
looked
good.
into it.
it
I'm
is
gonna
so
get it
good.
when it's on sale,
Yeah.
and it looks like a great time.
I
He's
honestly
been
so
messaging us about it too.
yeah,
which
I
is
just keep
nuts.
telling
Yeah.
I tell everybody I've been talking to that plays games to try this out. I will say it's on PC and it probably runs best on there, but I played it on my Xbox Series X and Xbox One X, and they both ran great. They ran at 60 frames,
Great.
and it didn't stutter. It is buggy at certain parts. I would just recommend saving a lot because, not that I would lose saves or something bad would happen. One, I would save a lot because like you could do something and then you're like, oh shoot, I did not want to do that. I'm gonna go back and re-say something. So
Yeah.
there's a quick save button, which is great. You just hit start and hit quick save, and it saves in like 1 second.
Oh, that's nice.
So I just did that like hundreds of times. So and I like kind of playing it out a few times to see what happens. The one big bug I saw is if you could fast travel around the map by unlocking these teleport ports. But if you teleport too far across the world, sometimes it doesn't load, and then you would just load into a game and you just fall from the sky. So
Oh,
that happened probably about
Really?
5 or 10
That's-
times.
that's
it-
kind of funny
was-
the first couple times.
It was
I feel
pretty
like.
funny, and it
Yeah.
didn't happen every time. The only thing I would do, I just reload a save, it would work, and then maybe 3 times over 30 hours, I had to just shut the game off and restart it, and it was fine. My save games were still working. It just didn't load the city I was in. It actually worked to my favor because I was in a city, and I didn't know it loaded, but it didn't load everything, and I didn't know it because it was my first time there in the city. And I stole a bunch of weapons and nobody was there to stop me. So I got it, saved it, shut the game off, reloaded it. I had all the stuff, and
Oh man,
then they were all there. So
that's
that
that
was kinda
little
clever.
bit of like not AAA jank.
yeah, it's
that
definitely
is
got
sometimes great about those.
but it was
games,
fun.
so.
Like honestly, I didn't mind it at all. It wasn't just like, oh, what the hell, I can't believe it. I actually finished the game, credits rolled, and I played for another about an hour because there were a
Oh,
couple
nice.
other things that were like I didn't finish. I was like, I can finish these up. And then it kind of leads into what happens in the second game, which is like they didn't announce a sequel by the time this was over. But now that I know the sequel's coming, I've seen some trailers and I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. Oh, okay, yeah, I did do this. This makes sense. So I'm pretty
There's
jazzed for
actually a
that.
sequel. Like there's trailers out first.
Yeah.
There's a couple trailers
Yeah,
for it.
Elex 2 got announced a couple
I
weeks ago, I
cannot
think.
wait. That is now my
Yeah.
most anticipated game, and I can't even believe that I'm saying that because it is such a weird game.
I want to look that up. What
No,
the
the
I
heck?
just
first
love the
time I
lore of
heard you
this.
talking about it, I looked up Elex, and it was like one of those things where it was like 2 days ago, Elex 2 was announced.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
wow, that's weird.
It is weird because I picked this game up and it was like a month later it just came out the announcement for 2.
Yeah.
I don't know how I've never heard of this game. I'm usually pretty good about knowing every game that comes out that's at least somewhat of a big game, and I feel like this is somewhat of a big game. Like it's a big open world full. I don't know. So yeah, that's the end of Elex. You never have to hear me talk about it until the sequel comes out.
Yeah, until Elex 2 comes out.
Until Elex 2. The other big news I talk about when we get to that story at the Switch. And I've just been playing Marvel Superheroes, which I'm going to be talking about. We got a review copy from our buddies at, was it Warner Brothers that gave it to us, Alex? So thank you to them.
Nice.
And I've been playing with my wife a little bit. And my only like initial thing is I think I've already played this game before on the Xbox, and playing it again, I don't mind it so much because it's more fun with somebody. But these games are kind of hard. Like, I don't always know what to do. And I don't know if that's just me or what, but yeah. But Lego games are always fun. It's cute. The humor always gets me.
Oh, it's the Lego one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot the Lego word. That really makes it.
I was like, Marvel superhero.
Yeah, Lego Marvel superheroes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are great co-op games though. Like,
They
Yep.
are.
like every single one of them is a great co-op time.
Yeah,
Lego Star Wars is an amazing franchise.
yes, those are fun. I played
Well,
most.
franchise, but
I say most of them, but I feel more have come out.
Yeah.
I did notice. So I'm playing this is the first one in that series that came out, I think 2012 or 13. And it came out into the Switch now. That's where we're playing it. So it just got released. But I noticed when I was on the Switch store this week, the eShop, that Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 is already on the Switch, which must have came out a while ago because it's on sale for like $8. So I thought it was odd that they decided to release the sequel but never touched the first until now. But it works out this way because now I can pick up the sequel for cheaper, and I think I might because my wife and I have been having a lot of fun playing this. So
nice.
I was looking into it real quick, just for like the background of how Link Cable Gaming works. So it's a lot of like keeping track of like what games come out and how it's going to fit into our coverage and stuff like that. And I was looking when we got that copy of Lego Superheroes. I was looking into it. I was like, oh, that's an older game. It was so old. Here's how old it is. It got a Nintendo DS, not 3DS, DS version.
wow.
So I was like, wow, this game came to the DS, it came to the PSP, it came to the Wii 360, PS3, then did PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, 3DS, Vita, and now it's on Switch.
Holy crap.
Gosh.
What
Yeah,
a journey.
I love games like that. They're just like on everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was
It
neat.
still
I
holds
thought
up though. It doesn't like the controls are a little rough. I think that's the hardest part, but I think that's kind of just part of Lego games where it's like there's so many characters in some of them. Like the controls aren't super super tight, but it's good enough, especially if you're playing with like a family member or a child or it's okay. I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
for everyone.
Yeah, they are made for everyone except for me because I'm stupid and I can't figure out some simple puzzles. Sometimes I just think I overcomplicate it, and I'm trying to do something really complicated, and it's something so simple, like pull a lever, and I was like, okay. Yeah, that's most of my gaming time. So, Alex, what did you do? Did you play
The only
Elex?
game. Oh, I didn't play Elex. Sorry. I played a bunch of games, and as soon as Saturday morning rolled around, I forgot all about them. Because I've been playing Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I just wanted to show off this giant box that I got.
love that box.
Yeah,
Giant
so
box for a cartridge.
yeah, for the
That's
cartridge,
that
it's like this big.
Right.
But yeah, on Saturday, my copy of Metroid Dread showed up. It was a day late, which is a little annoying because it's a long weekend here in Canada, and I was like, oh, I got 3 days to play it, but whatever.
Lucky.
Yeah, I played about 4 hours last night, and I fell in love with this game right away. It's so good. It's at last show, Kevin, you were talking about how you didn't like the 3DS version,
Yeah.
or like the 3DS game, Samus Returns. And I was thinking about it, like while playing it, I'm like, all right, does it fix? I have issues with that game with Samus Returns too. Does it fix those issues? And legitimately being able to play with a controller, like I'm just playing with the Joy-Con, like in the little grip thing. Um, it does because you have the two sets of shoulder buttons.
Mm-hmm.
So like Samus is fast, she's agile, doing the combo thing works like every single time. They added in a rushing combo, so if you're running and you hit the X, which is the combo button, you'll
Mm-hmm.
still do, or not combo, counter. You'll still do your counter, which it just flows so nicely.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, 4 hours in, and I'm like, I can't get enough. Like as soon as we wrap tonight, I'm like, it's back to Metroid. It is very, like, it's not a horror game, but it does lean into that kind of like
Mhm.
sci-fi spooky vibe a little bit. Like, I mean, Metroid's always been kind of a dark and you're alone kind of game. You definitely feel that here, though. Excuse me. You definitely feel that here, where you're kind of running around, and the robots, the Emmys, are chasing you. One thing that I didn't really realize, like they didn't really show this off in the trailers, they don't chase you the entire game. They only chase you when you're in like certain sections of the map, which are bigger open areas. But like if you're outside of those sections, you don't have to worry about those guys. There's just normal enemies around.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the thing on the cover?
Yeah, it's those
Hmm.
big one-eyed robot things. And those things, if they get you, you're dead. It's a one-hit kill. You do have you can do a counter to them, but there's no tell for it. So you really have to like land a perfect counter to stun it for half a second so you can keep running. Really, every time you run into an Emmy, like until you figure out, like I'm gonna avoid spoilers, but it's not too far into the game. But until you figure out the way to that the game wants you to deal with them, your only option is to avoid, run, and hide, which is a really cool. Like dread is the perfect word for it, because every time you walk into, because you know where you are, every time you walk into one of those areas, it's like you have to be on alert, and like the music changes, and it's really like subtle audio cues of like, is that enemy going to be nearby?
Spoopy.
It's
It is
really good. It's the
spooky.
perfect. Yeah, it's a great October game. Like just like as like Halloween's coming up, it's like it's not like a horror
I
game
love
or
a
anything.
spooky
But
game
it's
on
like,
Halloween.
Yeah. I think it's
yeah,
good that they added in, like you were saying, it's not everywhere though. I think it's
yeah.
good you have those areas where you can breathe, because I could see that being
Otherwise
fatiguing.
stressful.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's because when you walk into those areas, like the screen kind of goes gray a bit, so like you actually like you lose a lot of color definition, which makes it hard to even like, and like it does it in a good way. Like this is a positive, I would say, that, but it's hard to be able to tell like exactly where you're running, um, because and then you've got like environmental effects. So you've got like steam coming out from the background and things like that. So it's always keeping you on your toes. And actually, that's one thing that really impressed me with Metroid Dread is if you guys have played Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze or like Donkey Kong Country Returns,
Mhm.
like those games, the background was such like a living part of the game, right? Like you had big things in the background, big machines holding up like the like nothing was just floating in the air. Everything was just kind of like made sense in that world. Dread feels like that. Like nothing is there just to be there. Like everything is like you're jumping on pieces of machinery that are actually like in the background. So yeah, it's really good. I could go on about it for like hours on end. I love this game. I've only played like I think I'm 3.5 hours in, um, which
That's
is
I've heard the same kind of feelings towards this game from all my friends that have it. Like people I know. Online's a different story. It's kind of a little more mixed, but so I did buy this, but I'm hesitant to play it. I wish there was like a demo. I just want to see how the controls work
Right?
and if I'm okay with it because I I I love everything about it. The 3DS version I struggled with that and I barely got in an hour and a half before I gave up because
it,
I would die to the most easy enemies and I felt so
mm.
stupid and it would be so frustrating.
Well, you're gonna die in this one a lot because it is a game that is hard.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Uh,
hard, but impossible is where I was feeling the
yeah,
last
I
one.
think being able to play it with a control, like I was thinking back to the 3DS version, and I was like, oh, but that uses like the little circle stick, and like the shoulder buttons are tiny.
Yeah.
Like here, like you've got like a real thumbstick, you've got real triggers. Like it feels a lot more substantial.
Mhm.
I never
Mhm.
felt like I wasn't controlling Samus right, which I definitely did on the 3DS version. It's also like it's a hard game, but it's also like there's a save station every like 10 feet. Like it's weird. Like it's like, oh, you're gonna die a lot, but you're gonna save a lot too. Um, yeah, it's great. It's really really great. I played other things this week, and I don't care about them. Like I played Metroid Dread, and that's all I care about.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. I haven't played. I'll be honest. I've never really played Metroid. It is a game I want to try out. When it comes to that style of game, I played a lot of the Mega Man games back in the day, which I
Yeah.
wouldn't say are exactly the same, but like when it comes to someone 2D shooty arm game,
Sure.
Yeah.
that was the character I played.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Samus is my favorite character to be in Smash Brothers. So
Yeah,
You never touch a Samus game.
same.
yeah, so
Samus main.
yep, same. So I am excited to give it a try.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's really 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 good.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, Mike. I think we're up to you. So what have you been up to
All
since? I
right.
mean, it's been a while since we've talked to you. So
Yeah, it has.
give us a
I'm just
quick
gonna go with
overview.
four quick games. One that I've been slowly making my way through after ever since the director's cut came out. Because I stopped where I was when they announced director's cut, and I knew I'd start it back up. And that is Zahiri talked about it, Ghost
was
of
like,
Tsushima, and I have
Yeah.
been loving it. I put in just a couple hours a week when I get a chance, and I always love it. A lot of times it's kind of my early morning Saturday game if I wake up with the dogs or something and the girlfriend's still in bed. I'll come down and get a cup of coffee and sit there and play it for a couple hours, and it's a really fun game to do that with. But
I almost hate doing this show with you guys because I just want to play everything you guys talk about because I get sold on
yeah,
games so easily. Because I did
oh
the
that
same
one,
thing as you. I have the game. I haven't played it since the director's cut. I'm like, I don't need it yet. I don't need it yet. And now both of you have talked about it. All I'm thinking in my head is, I gotta go
yep.
buy this game. I want to play this.
Oh, you
How are
should.
you
It's very good.
liking it?
What was that?
How are you liking it?
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite games right now. I like I said, I get excited if I get up early with the dogs and I like get some coffee made and it's just me chilling. It's such a refreshing like sit down instead of like watching a TV show or something, you just kind of sit back with your cup of coffee and it's a relaxing game. Even with the fighting, like I absolutely love
Man, you zone in.
getting the perfect like if you get a perfect parry and combo it into a finishing move, it's the best feeling when you just get like the upward slash and you just see the blood and like enemy with half health just instantly goes down because you get that perfect combo. It feels so good.
I love.
um
Can I just ask, like, if you what's your favorite fighting style?
so I'm pretty early into the game. I'm only about 5 or 6 hours in,
Nice.
so I'm only really using the water style right now.
I like water style. The next style you get, I feel like this is Avatar for a second, but
Yeah.
it's spear
Don't worry, I
style,
don't mind.
Yeah.
right? I really like it deals with like the spearmen that come at you,
Mhm.
but I really like that kind of style of fighting.
I'm
Uh,
excited to like figure out a different way to deal with them. I mean,
yeah,
I enjoy just the sidestepping and going into an immediate combo, like an immediate
right.
counter with it. But if there's two people with spears coming at you or something, I'd love to be able to do something different.
It gets complicated.
Like
Like you,
with like sidestep one and then like counter a second one would be really
yeah.
cool to be able to do.
Starts to
So
feel like a
for the-
fighting game after a while. Like
it
it
does.
does, but I
like,
love it.
it's so no, it's good. It's a good thing. It's just
Yeah.
it's not the type of combat when I first started it. Like when I was in those first few hours, I was like, oh, this is kind of like Assassin's Creed.
Mhm.
It was kind of my thought, but then like it just builds and builds and builds.
Yeah,
on it.
the combat
Yeah.
definitely feels meaningful. It doesn't feel like a button masher. Like it feels like it's got good weight to it, and I enjoy it as well. Did you
Yeah.
real quick? Did you do? Is there an upgrade available from the old version to the new version, or do you have to purchase the game
Yeah,
outright?
so it's $20
Okay.
for the Iki Island DLC
Okay.
and $10 for the PS5 upgrade.
Okay.
Even though they already did a free upgrade before
Right.
that
Yeah,
for
for the
60
60.
FPS and all that stuff. So,
Okay.
but there's like it's like a visual upgrade to 4K and everything.
Oh man.
I would say it's worth
beautiful.
it. It's
Yeah.
all the whole thing is worth it. Iki Island I haven't gotten to yet. but I've heard it's like another like almost 20 hours of content.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
about 15 to 20, man.
yeah.
It's end game. It's really an end game area.
Hmm. I
And
looked on the map to where it
yeah,
is, and it's after you like cross that point into the
mm,
top part of the map.
that's
But
right.
yeah, I'm looking forward to getting there and everything. But yeah, it's a game I'm willing to take my time with. Like
Yeah,
there's some of these open world games, you were talking about it with Far Cry, where it's like you just want to stick to the main path and you just want to get it done. And then there's other open world games where it's like, I'll take my time with this. I'll enjoy the world. I'll enjoy every little interaction I have. I'll enjoy the side
the
stories. And it's
the
one of those.
interactions feel more meaningful.
Yeah.
The interactions just feel more earned. I feel better liberating one of the Mongol villages than I do tearing down one of Castillo's
Yep.
production plants. And I don't know why. Something about it just it's better. It's even on the long run to sit down with that cup of coffee and just like liberate more and more. I feel like my
Yeah.
actions may not, like, in the overall scheme of things for like open world, really affect whatever, but seeing like the fog of war lift off of the map and know that you're
Hmm.
like freeing your people, and it doesn't feel so hokey.
Yeah. The story is good enough to like make you feel
Support
like you're
that.
doing something real. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good. And then I guess I'll move on from that, but there's two games I'll say my girlfriend and I have been playing together. The first one we're just working on 100%ing at this point, or I guess well past 100%ing because there's a extra content in it you can do, but it's the Spyro Trilogy,
Oh, nice.
Reignited on Xbox. It's just a game that her and I have been sitting down the last week upstairs, kind of working on. We've put time into it a lot over the last like year, where we'll play one of the games for a couple weeks in a row, and then we're like, okay, we're over this for a little bit, and then we'll go back to it. But right now we're working on getting the 100% plus bonus content in all three games. I think we have two of the games at about 88, 89%, and then Year of the Dragon, which was always my favorite one. We got to 116%. We got all
Oh,
the bonus
jeez.
content finished and
Very
everything.
nice.
So
Congrats.
so
That
that
game
was
is so
a
fun.
that oh, it's a lot of fun. And then the other one, Kevin, you might appreciate this if it's ever on sale on PlayStation and you want a really good laugh, because I know you play volleyball. I don't know if anyone else does here, but it's called Spike Volleyball. And the last good volleyball game I remember playing was on both GameCube and PlayStation 2 had a good one. There was Summer Heat Beach Volleyball on PlayStation and Beach Spikers on GameCube. And I'm a big volleyball, like I've played volleyball all my life, so I like a good volleyball game. I saw this game. It's a indoor sixes hardcourt game called Spike Volleyball. And God, it is terrible. It is
Yeah,
it
look
like
at the reviews right now. It looks
you
awful.
it is awful. But it was on sale for like $5 on the PlayStation Store. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. Because it's normally 40. We laugh so much playing this game. Because literally, like, your spiker will go up to hit the ball and they'll swing like this. The ball will be like 4 feet that direction and react and go the opposite direction for like a kill. Like it's like I don't know what happened, but I got a point, cool, or like the weirdest stuff. Nothing lines up. The animations, the graphics, just nothing looks good at all while you're playing the game, but it's so bad that it's funny. It's funny to just sit down. We play it like while dinner's like something's heating up in the kitchen or so. We'll sit down and we'll play a game, and we just it's such a funny game. We've got a couple of our other friends to like pick it up on PlayStation
My
so we can play
gosh.
against them online and stuff. So if you want a really funny experience, look for it when it's on sale. I'll play against you online.
I'll play it. I will play
We'll
it.
just
See if we can
laugh
beat
the whole
that.
time because it's such a bad game. Someone definitely told this team like, all right, we need a volleyball game in like end of the month. Just make it. Just put it on the store. We don't care
Wow,
what
they
it
were all
is.
drunk.
No one's
too.
gonna review it.
I looked it up. It has 2 reviews on Metacritic. A 6 out of 10, it's not that bad, and a 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
Jeez.
couldn't find any good reviews in English on YouTube, so I am going to review the game because we've been playing it so
Hey,
much.
all
That's
right.
great.
I'm like, there's no other reviews. Someone who plays volleyball is
Yeah,
gonna look this up, so I'm gonna review it.
good. Look
That's
forward to
funny.
that.
if you guys want a written review on the website, you can you can
Sure.
take it, and I'll send you the script if you want to look it up for
Sure,
just
we'll
because
do that.
nobody else has the reviews. So.
We'll put it
Yeah.
up for sure.
We'll get exclusive review rights there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so bad.
Oh, man.
All
But
right.
yeah,
well,
those are
sounds like
the
you've
games really
been
I've played
busy.
lately. Yeah,
Sorry, I just talked over you the whole time. We both wait.
it's
so-
all good.
This is like every work meeting me at work, working remote is okay. Up, and then there's silence. Okay, yeah. No, you got. Oh my god. There needs to be
Yeah.
somewhere where we just like mute each other and just say, "Shut up, I'm talking."
Hmm.
Anyways, yeah, sounds like fun. Is what I was trying to say.
I do have I have one question because I don't know if you guys talked about this the last 2 weeks. I wasn't able to catch all of last week's. Did anyone here play Kena?
No.
Kena Bridge of Spirits. Okay. So, because I've been dying. I got it day one. I'm dying to play it. It looks like an amazing game. And I was hoping maybe one of you had.
You haven't played
but
it yet at all?
I have. I just been busy every weekend. This is the first like downtime weekend I've had really. And still just haven't gotten the chance to start it.
One of my very close friends, Alex, he may be where he's the one talking about the site.
Yeah.
He's played he platinumed it actually.
Holy Jesus. That was
Yeah,
fast.
he like I said, he's very intense, Aaron. I love him. He's a great gamer. He asked if he could do the review for it for this site because he's like, can I do it as my first one? Because I like it's the freshest in my head.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like he's
like,
played
did you
enough
like
of
it?
it to know about it.
I have got
Yeah.
to say, I am really enjoying this show where people are throwing content at me to put up on the website. Like, hey, we got reviews of volleyball games and Kena Bridges. I'm like, yeah, man. So if people listening, will post your stuff if you are interested.
Yeah.
Very happy to.
He apparently, Mike, he said it's like amazing. He's like, it's one of the like prettiest games he saw on the PS5, and he's like, the story is really like heartwarming.
Well,
He's
they are animators. Like they did
Yeah.
the Majora's Mask animation. That was what they're known for. So it's Ember Labs. Have you seen that, Alex?
Oh my, several times.
Okay. Yes. So, and the game looks like that. Oh, I don't want to play it.
The funny thing is, he's a huge Nintendo person, and he
Okay.
was telling me he's like, it has like a lot of old school like Nintendo vibes to it. I'm like,
Mhm.
You know
I
what game
think
it
that's
reminded?
go on, Alex.
You go ahead. You're the guest.
I was just gonna say, I think that's what it might have be a little bit what's pulling me in is it has that Nintendo vibe to it, almost the Zelda-like vibe.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, Kevin. It reminds you know what Kena reminds me a lot of is Star Fox Adventures.
Really?
Like just looking at it, I get
I
I get a feel.
kind of thinking
It's
about
just
what
kind
I've
of like-
seen. It does look like it a little bit, where it's got like that shiny, like especially because it's like dark colors, but then like bright colors inside the dark colors, which remind me of like the staff from that game. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that the physical release doesn't come out until I think November or something, and that's what I want to get.
Oh,
That's
it's
a
all-
trend I really hate these
I
days.
do
It's
too.
Like a game's announced, and like me, I'm Mr. Physical. I love getting my games in physical.
Same.
And like a game's announced, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that, but I want it in physical, so I'll have to wait a few months to get it. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that trend. It's
I think
really
they're
annoying.
definitely. It's one of those things where it's like, did we get enough pre-orders
Yeah.
where it'll be worth releasing a physical edition? And I think that's kind of what pays. They use the pre-order money to pay for a physical release, especially these smaller studios like
Yeah.
Ember Labs. It's their first game. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to get that. I'm definitely just waiting for the physical though. I almost bought it in digital because I want to play it, but I'm like, no, I have other things to play. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. I'm like, I got plenty to do. All right, so let's jump over to the news. So the first news story I'm going to pull up here is a PSA for a new item that came out this week that I know a couple of us have picked up. So
Cool
this
kids got
this
it.
past week, the Nintendo Switch OLED had come out. I picked one up, but I've had a Switch, so this wasn't a huge change in my life because I have other Switches. But it was a nice upgrade. But Zahi, I know you got one, and it is your first Nintendo product in a very long time.
Yeah,
So it's
very-
definitely your first Switch. So give us your
My
rundown
first
of
Switch.
what you think of all of this.
So here's the thing. I even got the licensed Nintendo
Oh, you went
carrying
all
case.
out.
Well, I know me, man, and I like to keep things like nice and clean and safe, and I don't want like it just what I want to keep it perfect. And I did the unboxing yesterday. I still need to post it, and it is a. Ooh, maybe it's there. It is real. Hold on. You're just seeing the reflection because of the. So I was actually been waiting to get this. So I've been playing a bit of Deltarune now that I can finally take it a bit on the go as my first Switch product. So opening the console was like, where do these things go? Because I was like, okay, I'm sure I know this attaches in here. So because I was doing an unboxing of it, I have to put it up, and I was like, oh, I guess these go in here. Okay, that fits. It's so like snappy. And here one thing, I didn't put it in its case or in the dock before, but I put the screen protector on it first because I used to hear that whenever you put it in, it would like it could break it or like,
Scratch the
scratch
screen.
it. Yeah, so I got it the screen protector on it, and then it fits nice into the dock. So I feel like it's a little like
Yeah, that's
you know
normal. It's pretty normal.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
normal. I was like, I wish it could feel a little bit more like in place.
Mhm.
So to add really quick to add to your screen protector thing. So this is actually what the news story is about, which I did not know about. So
what
they actually, I just read this like I think yesterday. I saw, or no, it was 2 days ago when I got it on Friday because today's already Sunday. The Switch OLED comes with a small screen protector already on the Switch, and I did not know that. Even though I played with it for a little bit. The original Switch did not have anything on it, so that dock thing that you were talking about, that was an issue and some people had if you kind of put it in really quick and you didn't have anything on it, like the LCD screen would scratch. So it comes with a small screen on the OLED one, but I did see people putting screen protectors over that one as well, just because the one they gave you wasn't like super nice. So it's good you put a screen protector on it. I'm trying to get one too. But a lot of people are peeling that one off, and the OLED screen is really soft because it's like a different material than the LCD. And I think people they were hoping that people wouldn't have issues by doing this. So, but the PSA that's being pushed around the internet saying don't peel off the protective cover on your OLED screen that comes with it because that's really protecting your screen.
Well, that and it's showing it also. It's a specific kind of screen protector that if you were to drop it and it breaks, it'll keep it from the glass like shattering. So the original Switch or the non OLED one and the Switch Lite both have a full on like layer of plastic over the screen, which is why the screen feels like it's set back into the device. The OLED screen doesn't have that feeling on the new Switch. So they needed something where if the glass, because it was just glass on the front, they needed something so if it broke, you wouldn't have glass. Like
shards,
cutting yourself
basically.
and stuff,
Yeah,
essentially. So yeah, that was it. Which I've heard the screen looks so much better because it doesn't have that set back in feel to it.
The screen looks
let
so
alone the
much better in
OLED.
general.
Well,
yeah,
and this is just through our Discord chat, and people watching will see it through YouTube. But Zahi, when you held up Deltarune, like that game has really darks. Like the entire background is
true,
black.
actually.
Like it looks so good, even you holding up your camera.
And it looks good through the camera. Like that looks
Yeah.
amazing. It's like on the
makes
current
me
Switch.
want one.
It makes me want one too. And
It's nice. I'm telling you.
I
don't need one though.
I know I didn't need it either, Alex, but it's something that I know you'll love for years to come. And I just went through the stupid 2DS XL and I didn't buy one, and I kicked myself, and I ended up paying a ton of money for one used, and some kids snot all over it because they didn't buy one at launch. So I'm just biting the bullet. I'm buying it, and I bought Diablo 2. I was going to play with my friend locally, but totally forgot there's no local co-op on that game, so that was dumb. So I decided to just boot it up to see anyways, and the beginning screen where the original like Blizzard like logo opens up with the video, and then it shows stuff. It's just the dark colors are so dark. It's crazy.
I would love to play Metroid Dread on it because that game has a lot of
super dark,
really darks. Yeah.
It seems like that. I mean, that had to be a little bit planned, where they're like, okay, Metroid Dread has so many, like, it has a lot of the black, the dark feel, and then especially the white and the blue in Samus's suit, and there's a lot of these bright whites and blues in the game to pop on that dark
Yeah.
background. That had to be planned with, especially
Oh yeah, I bet.
even with like all of the white colors on the Switch OLED and stuff. They definitely had a little bit of a marketing plan there, launching them together.
I mean, I think it was
For sure.
successful. But
Oh,
just with that, but like any older game, like I was playing the Marvel Lego game on it. It like these Lego characters just look so deep colors, dark color, like everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just even the menu looks so nice compared to like, because I have my Switch Lite, my Switch Original, and then the OLED all next to each other, kind of just going through the menu, and you can just see from there how different the screen are. And it is, if you're not gonna play this handheld, it's not worth it at all. There's nothing new really for it. But
Right.
I do play mine handheld quite a bit, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's my little
I
review.
did-
Zahi, I know you're probably just speechless with the amount of things you can do with this thing now, since this is your first Nintendo console. Period.
The things that I can play, or the things that I now have access to on one device, it's incredible. Like, I can't wait to get the online so I can finally play like the old Zelda games that I've never been able to get a chance to. And like I play a lot of I play Brawlhalla on the 360, good lord, on the Series X, and I've been playing it here because it's a free game. And it looks fantastic. Like it's just this beautiful feeling to it. Everything is so snappy and reactive. I'm loving like the controllers and how they feel. I'm not used to this being an A button.
Yeah,
This being
that will
but-
always screw you up. Trust me.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
Until
They
you go
were
back and play Xbox for 5 minutes, and then you're screwed up that way. So
I was so weirded. I was like, wait. They were like, press the A button. I was like, A, wow. I was going crazy. I
What-
do.
sorry, one thing I want to recommend. So I didn't know this until like having my original Switch for a little while, but you can change the theme to a dark theme, and
Ooh.
the
should
dark
do
theme
that with
looks
the OLED.
so nice on the OLED. There's only
Ooh,
two
do it
colors.
quick.
Yeah, no,
Uh-huh.
he's zoning.
Zahi,
There's
out.
only
I
two
think
colors?
I think you have to do it on the show.
Yeah, I
Just
think
go
you
into
should do it right
your
now.
settings really quick in the upper corner
It
Okay.
looks so
and
nice.
switch
No,
to the
it's-
dark theme.
It's not in the
Right.
upper corner. It's one of the bottom ones.
Oh, it is one of the bottom. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's-
settings is
set-
bottom. Yeah, my bad.
Like how we're
Settings cog
memorizing,
on the
you know.
bottom row.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was in
Yeah,
settings.
and then
Yeah,
you go
that's-
down
that's
to
the
the
right sound
theme.
That's the right noise. Yeah.
And then you go down to themes, and you switch to
Right.
dark theme.
All right.
Yep. Oh.
There-
Oh yeah, and now go back
my
to the
eyes
main
feel
menu.
better.
Go to the eye
My
now.
eyes feel better for you.
Yeah, you'll appreciate that.
Oh, it just
Yeah.
looks so
Oh.
nice.
Yeah, you'll like that. Oh, I was hoping they were gonna actually make it a black background with. I didn't think about that. It was gray
It's
because
the
black
same-
on the OLED would be so nice.
Yeah, it
It's the
still
same
looks good because
gray,
it
but
pops. Yeah,
Yeah.
the colors. Yeah, Zahi, go. I would recommend just go to the eShop. You can look up demos. Look online to how to look up because it isn't the most like intuitive.
Mhm.
It is. I will say that though, as like Sony, like the PS5 is not intuitive at all. I'm finding compared to the PS4,
Yeah,
but the Series X and the Xbox One and One X are great. I feel, and this is somewhere in the middle. Like some things
Mhm.
feel like it makes a lot of sense, but on other things, how they have like the membership like weirdly.
yeah, it
weird,
is a
Yeah.
little interesting.
and you have to enter your password every time. Is there a way to disable that?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can change that. There's a.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was a prompt or something, but it would just say, "Don't do
don't-
this next time." I think if you go to sign on the phone, I think there's an option for it because that's what I did when I did mine.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
entered
and, like,
mine in so long.
Right.
It took
I
me to
barely
the
remember
thing.
mine.
Okay, good. I'm gonna have to remember that. It like took me to the phone sign in, and it. I'll be honest. I feel like there's. I don't. You see how like sometimes like, it's a bit slow.
Yep. If you have a
Mhm.
game running, which I think I saw in the beginning, if there's
Yeah.
a game running and you're in it, the shop goes slow. If you close the games
Mhm.
and go into the shop, it does help it quite a bit.
Okay, because you know what? I'm just used to like the
Yeah.
speed that with the PS5 and the Series X. That's like I'm right there.
Everything is
And
great about the Switch except for the fact that it's
Feel it.
low horsepower.
You guys are gonna have
Yeah.
to revisit this in like 2 weeks when Zahi's really had a chance to experience
Oh yeah.
the Switch because no one can find like right now. There's not many people getting their first Switch
No.
and like
That's
talking
true,
about
that's
it
true,
online.
yeah.
Everyone already has 5.
Yeah.
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 So,
This is my fifth.
but
Let alone the first like Nintendo product in like
right.
20.
Wait, so
plus
You
years.
haven't played Link to the Past?
Man, speaking of which, on the no, I haven't. It sucks. I want to get it. Speaking of which, I have access to the Nintendo Entertainment System because I subbed for the I
And the
subbed
Super.
yeah, and the Super,
Super,
which
yeah.
I found was great, and I just have I'm enjoying this thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm loving that there are so many great like I'm trying to think here. Like you have Super Mario Brothers, I think
Dude, guilty
the-
pleasure, Kirby's Dream Course.
Oh, that
yeah,
game's great.
So much fun. Play it with somebody else. Like, oh, it's such a competitive game.
I saw Kirby's Adventure.
I
Dream
think
Course is
Dream,
on the Super.
yeah, Dream Course is on the Super Nintendo side of things.
Okay.
Mario Golf on the NES though is also like once you figure out the controls, they're really weird, but it's another competitive one because it's like I don't know what
And
it is about the OG NES and Super NES sports games that there's something like so arcadey and fun about them.
one thing
I'll
that
admit,
no one. Sorry, just because you're looking through the app for the NES and SNES game, one thing no one ever talks about is all those games you can play online.
yeah.
Mhm.
Ever talks that you could play Mario, like when the 64 comes out, we can play Mario Kart 64 online. Like
Oh,
that's
I'm so excited. I'm
well,
so
That is
down for
actually
that.
pretty
mind-blowingly
cool.
cool.
You're right. I don't think about that either, but that is pretty neat.
Oh, that is. I've been telling everybody I know that has a Switch that we are going to be. So this is going to be going to College Mike, but College Mike, my RA had an N64, and so I'm dating myself, but this was like 12 years ago too. But still, like that was like Game Boy, that was Wii time, that was Wii era. But he had an N64 in his room, and we would play a lot of Mario Kart on the N64.
I've done that
And
too.
that's just been the best one for that. Like all my nostalgia goes to the N64 version because of that. So being able to play N64 online with all of my friends who are also old men at this point and can't wait to get back into it, it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's also very user friendly in its games for the NES and SNES. The they have a lot of them that are play at max level right from the get go.
Yeah, they got the
I
special
know.
version.
Classic version, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
what they call it.
So no, like I mean, like I think it was the Legend of Zelda that I was
Yeah,
doing.
it's a classic
Yeah.
edition, I think is what they call it in
Yeah.
there. Something like that.
SP edition special.
Oh,
Like
special, okay.
yeah, they have that little red
Mhm.
Yeah.
thing on it. So when I choose those ones, I basically can play the game at kind of like an easy, like a story
Yeah.
mode difficulty level.
One of those started you in like the Hidden Forest or something, or the Lost Forest. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
can't remember
think,
which one.
Zelda 2.
yeah,
No,
I think
it
it's
was
Zelda.
it was in Zelda. That one of the editions. They had multiple editions of the original Legend of Zelda on there. One of the editions that they had, it wasn't just max level. It started you near the end of the game in the Lost Woods, and I was just like, I don't remember this puzzle. I can't get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm done.
oh, I even got like the original Metroid. Really cool. Can someone tell me how to like get back to that menu?
ZLZR.
Yeah.
The
the
two
same time.
triggers.
Triggers at the same time.
Watching
right.
him do this on video live is.
I'm
his
sorry,
face
but
is
we have
like-
Content.
we have other things to talk about. I'm just
True.
like,
Yeah,
Because
so we'll give
Yeah,
we'll give you a couple weeks, like Mike said. You play around with this,
Yeah.
and I am curious to see what your couple week review is. Try some new games and stuff, but it is nice that this is your first Switch because the OLED is a pretty nice model for you to start off with, and
absolutely.
you have a lot of games to catch up on, my man. There is a lot of good stuff you got to play, like a lot.
If anyone has any recommendations for Switch games
Oh,
to
yeah.
play, I know all of you guys too. Leave them in the comments
Mm.
below, and I'll be
Yeah.
checking a lot out.
Can
I'm
I
gonna
get
leave
one
like
out?
30 comments.
I want to get. I have a warning for you because I know you haven't played Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker and all those older Zelda games. Don't play Breath of the Wild before you play those ones.
No,
Yes.
That you would ruin Breath of the Wild.
Just don't play Breath of the Wild. It's
Well,
overrated
it
anyways.
won't just ruin Breath of the Wild. It'll ruin those
older
games.
ones.
Yes, yeah, it won't ruin Breath of the Wild, but it'll ruin Ocarina and Majora's Mask because of the control schemes and stuff.
Mm.
I mean, Z-Lock
Yeah.
is still great, and it hasn't left. Z-Lock is the best thing to
Yeah.
come. All video games thank Ocarina of Time for that, I think.
I just think it's like you appreciate Breath of the Wild so much more if you kind of understand where it came from, like what led to that.
Struggles.
And the N64 games are all coming.
Yeah. That's
Even
pretty exciting.
Skyward Sword. Recommend that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Skyward Sword's a
I
great
forgot.
one,
Yeah, that's even a thing. Go play
So now
Pokemon
the-
Snap, the new one. Go play. I
There's
mean,
so much, guys.
There's
There
only
Smash
gonna be-
Brothers.
oh
there's
yeah,
only
shoot.
two-
Gee,
I'm overloaded with just these.
Yeah.
Like
Mario
and
Odyssey.
There's only two mainline. if you
Pokemon
wanna
Sword
call
and
it, like,
Shield
the
is
home
good.
console mainline. Sorry,
Luigi's
I'm talking
Mansion
over you.
3. No, you're okay. I started talking over
Yeah.
you actually.
But I was gonna say that the mainline Zeldas or home console Zeldas are just at this point Wind Waker and Twilight Princess
Oh, I love Twilight Princess.
are gonna be the only home console ones not on Switch.
crazy.
Yeah, you got a
I-
lot. Just go online and just start look like there's
Xenoblade?
so many. Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah, you can play all those
Definitive
games.
Edition was on sale last week, I think. It'll be back.
Yeah.
There's one game I really wish I could play right now that is a Switch game, and it would be the Link's Awakening.
Oh, I just finished
That's a
that a
good
couple
one.
weeks ago. That game is
I,
really good.
I mean, it's like still like based on the old,
Mhm.
like style, but with like
Yeah.
the modern touch. I did get to play when I went to Fan Expo 1 year, which was really great. But other than that, I think I really would like to play that one. It's just one I actually did play a bit and I enjoyed.
and now
Nice.
you can. You have
Yeah.
this window is open to you, man. Go for
You're
it.
gonna be broke soon.
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to our
Nobody-
lives now.
I spend money on games.
Nintendo just creates great experiences.
There's just so much to do. I'm like, just Google top Switch games.
Fire
and
Emblem.
I have like every single
I'm
one.
looking at my shelf right now.
I'm
like,
very kid in a candy store right now.
There's
like-
you just unlocked a lot of things to do. Like this was like if I told
Splatoon.
anyone to buy any console at all, I would say get yourself a PC and then get yourself a Switch. That'd be my to get the
Yep.
most amount of
That's
experiences
it.
possible. That's all you need. Everything else is
I now
great,
have,
but extra.
essentially, I have the Infinity Stones in game collection right now.
Hey, you got
Hell
this-
yeah, you
this whole
do.
gen.
That's awesome.
I feel like I have I don't need a PC because I have my Series X and my PS5. So the Sonys and the Xboxes and like that's covered, except for occasionally the rare like game that's on PC and not cross-platform. But excluding that, and now I have all of Nintendo. So I feel like I finally have a comprehensive video game like catalog to be built. You know.
And so many of those
Reached it.
rare indie PC games come to Switch because especially like the pixel art style
Those are the
games.
best games on the Switch.
And they blow up because of the Switch.
yeah.
Oh.
I played a ton of Stardew Valley on the Switch just because
I
it
was
was so
I was
easy.
just about to be like, you
Really?
can play Stardew Valley
It-
on the Switch.
It's such a good handheld
you want
game
to
'cause
sink
you could
some
just
time in.
yeah take it with you to bed and just play in bed, and you'll just like start doing random stuff in that game, and it is so much fun. Forager is amazing
Animal
on the
Crossing.
Switch. Animal Crossing, same
another-
way.
Octopath, if you haven't
Right,
played it
really
on Game
great.
if you haven't played it
Octopath
on
is
Game
good.
Pass.
Yeah, Octopath is good, but I loved it on the Switch. I love RPGs, JRPGs, anything on the Switch. But
Yeah.
all right, I'm cutting this off on
Thinking-
Switch
Yeah.
talk.
Okay, that's
gotta
a good
move
point.
on.
We could-
We're done,
We could go on for hours.
I know. I'm feeling hyped, and I already have it and played all these games.
I'm just
Um,
it's hitting me right now.
Yeah, that game too. All right, so slight move away from that, but we're still gonna be with Nintendo. Super Smash Brothers is another great game that's on the Switch that you should get. That is just
Yes.
loads of fun and ridiculously perfect in every way possible, and just loaded with love from Nintendo and everybody that makes this game. And they just released the final character, which is the 89th character, I believe, and it is
Technically.
drumroll.
Technically.
It is Sora from the Kingdom Hearts series.
Who saw that coming?
Well,
The internet.
the internet. And the big the final like release video, them talking about, hey, this is the final character, apparently was like huge with views. It went over well. The internet actually reacted pretty positively to this. And they actually came out and said that years ago, during the Wii U version of Smash Bros, they did a poll, and you could put in what you wanted to say, and the top character was for Sora. And they kind of planned it out to not say anything until they knew it was final and it was good, so no one could give them any feedback about, hey, what's going on, what's taking so long, and just blew us all up. And this must be a pretty big deal, because I know Disney's involved with this, because Kingdom Hearts is part Disney, part JRPG with Square.
Yeah.
So I don't know. None of the Disney stuff at all is translated into this character in Smash Bros. Except for the little Mickey keychain is the only part that's really translated.
And that was enough to get Disney's name in the credits.
Yeah. So that no Donald or Goofy, which is sad, but I'm still pretty pumped for this character. I think this will be one I'm really gonna like. It's a simple character.
Wish he had a special move with Donnie and or Donald and Goofy.
I do too, man. I really wish he had just something with, like, if I could call like Hercules and Mulan out, like, I'd feel like a badass. Not gonna lie.
So can maybe, because I don't know, I haven't read about it yet, but can someone tell me why there isn't any? Because I saw a post on Reddit or on 9gag on when I was like just checking out some articles, and they said with Sora, nothing with Donald or
Goofy.
So I think
Goofy.
Why?
I think the easiest answer is Disney is the only company that might be more protective of their IPs than Nintendo.
Exactly.
That's the easiest answer.
Yeah.
It's expensive. And I know that, so other podcasts listen to, this one lady, her husband works at Disney, and kind of talked about how Disney, if you're going to put something of theirs into a game, they just as a whole, to protect their IPs, are very like, okay, we want to make it difficult because we don't want our characters to be everywhere. And like, if you put it in there, they want a percentage share of the profits of the game, not just like you pay us and you use it. So it's a good thing because it protects their IP, and it is good, and we all cherish these things because Disney is, part of all of our lives and everybody. But it also makes it difficult for stuff like this to happen. So give and take a little bit.
I do have to say, like, it's disappointing because it's not like the full Kingdom Hearts experience, I guess, on Switch, like, compared to other things. But there's also like a part of me that's like, Smash Brothers is staying gaming only. It's not kind of walking into like that. Well, is it like just cartoons, or is it like anime or manga? Like, everyone wanted Goku for a long time. It's like, no, it's still
I voted Goku.
Video games. I voted Geno, and I did not get my.
I wanted Crash. That was my big one. Crash and Spyro.
Hey, I got a Mii costume though. There is a Geno Mii costume.
Yeah.
I did get that out of that.
But yeah,
long story.
So to move on quick, so now we've kind of hit everything else very long. We have a couple more. Sora's jumping in, and then the big announcement after was the first two. Well, this is confusing, and someone's gonna have to correct me. But Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and remakes of a bunch of other random games, which names are very confusing because some of them are fractions and some of them are other things, are also coming to the Switch. And then Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be coming to the Switch through streaming. So I think
all of them.
all of them are streaming.
All of them are cloud.
All
edition.
three.
Wait, I thought the first couple were not streaming.
Every
single one of them is streaming. Get out of here.
So
well, that's really shitty. I swear.
Yeah, it is. They were kind of weird about
Play them on
the
Game
stream.
Pass already.
Right?
So it's 1.5 and 2.5 are one thing. So, and then there's 2.8
I hate the way they did that.
Final
It is so
Prologue,
confusing.
whatever, which is a remake of the 3DS game. And I've never played any of these games. I just happen to know this. And then Kingdom Hearts 3, but they're all streaming versions because they're all the PS4. They're the PS4 versions of these games.
Notably, all three titles will be delivered via cloud streaming. I don't know how I missed that. I thought for sure the first two and the DS and stuff would be coming on.
That's what it should have been.
Yeah, I thought just the third one. I guess I just assumed that. That's nuts. That sucks, actually.
No. I've noticed, so I don't know if anyone else has really picked up on this or talked about it. I think there's a lot of people just being like, man, there's a lot of games coming to cloud all of a sudden. Almost all of them are Square. We've got the Life is Strange games coming via cloud streaming. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy just got announced. So both of those just got announced for cloud streaming, Guardians of the Galaxy and Life is Strange. And now after that, the Kingdom Hearts games. So it's in Square had a thing where they just weren't bringing their big major titles to Nintendo consoles in general for a while.
Are they owned by Square? Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Oh yeah, they also are. So are they?
I thought so. I'm trying to look it up.
I
It says,
think they
yeah, they
are.
I
are.
don't think
IO
anymore.
Interactive is owned by Square Enix Europe. That's their
Okay,
parent company. So yeah, also Square.
so it's Square Enix. Everything except is Plague Tale isn't right because that's the only other one I know of that right now that's coming via cloud. So
Dying Light 2.
It's a Square Enix thing.
Yeah, that too. Uh,
Where I think a lot of that is they were so behind on getting larger development on the Switch. They were putting a lot of their 2D titles. They kind of got into it like, okay, we're willing to work with you again, Nintendo, because they had a huge feud back in the PlayStation and 64 era where Nintendo tried to swing their name around versus Square with some of their games and some of their IPs, pretty much saying like, no, you need us. And Square's like, no, we don't need you. We have the PlayStation. We can put our games on now. And pretty much decided not to work with Nintendo for like 3 generations. And I think now they're playing catch up because they're like, okay, we do want to work with you again. But their developers might not have the experience because they're jumping back into the Switch late in the game, and they're just like, we don't want to spend the money or the time to do this. Let's just throw our stuff on the cloud version, and maybe we'll revisit this again whenever the next generation Switch comes out.
Cloud is a nice shortcut to get games on Switch in a quick way. Because
Mhm.
we saw like with Doom Eternal, which runs natively on Switch, like
Mm.
they crammed that into a cartridge. It took them a year longer, I think a year and a half longer than Doom Eternal actually took to come out on other things.
But I
But
appreciate that.
I do, and like you own something, right? Like if I
Mhm.
were to get these Kingdom Hearts games, it's like a full price rental. Like
Right.
once they decide to turn those servers off, I
You're
don't get to
done.
play them anymore.
That's
Yeah.
Mhm.
that is a huge part of it, like trying to get into it. Which actually this ties in great with the next story, so we can segue right into that about preservations of games, because like streaming, if you're unable to play a game on the hardware and you don't have the servers to stream it, or if you have hardware that basically doesn't exist anymore, you can't play these games. So Mike, I know you kind of brought this to our attention in our pre-chat, and I kind of was like, everyone stop, we have such good discussion, let's talk
Okay.
about in the show. So if you want to bring it up and re-say what you said, and
Yeah.
let's jump into that.
Yeah, I'll lead into what I said. So there's a big conversation, and there's definitely a separation of like, because I kind of brought this up because there's some Switch emulators that have been getting very good to the point where I know Kevin, we were talking about an article where Metroid Dread can already be emulated, and that's not necessarily great. In that, like, it's cool that the hardware, like, that people have figured out how to code this and make an emulator out of it. That's cool. I'm never gonna knock that side of things. But the fact that people can day one already pirate the game isn't great.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So with current hardware, emulation is definitely much more of a gray area. But with older hardware, I think I've seen this said a few times, and people need to kind of have a little bit of an open mind thinking about it because if you think back to music software and stuff, it makes a lot of sense. But if there's more places to play these games, the older games, to stream them, even for a fee,
There wouldn't be any
it's
need.
it's gonna cut back on piracy. Piracy is never gonna not be a thing in any type of media,
Mm-hmm.
but it'll cut back on it to the point where it's never a conversation because
Netflix produced huge amounts of piracy
yeah,
when it released and when it became
yep.
popular on multiple streaming sites. The Pirate Bay almost tanked.
Spotify for me was the one I used to spend hours a month, like I pirating music. I guess I'll say it right on here. Who cares? And then Spotify, yeah, Spotify came out, and I was like, crap. Like my time, like I'll
Yeah, why
pay. I was
bother?
in college. I'll pay $5 a month college fee for this
Yeah.
Right.
to not have to
It's
waste my time
easier
pirating
than
these
owning an
songs.
iPod and
Right.
doing it downloaded like that. There's just the convenience factor.
Yeah.
You
People
Most
people pay for
people.
convenience.
So I heard this in another podcast years ago, and it's kind of stuck with me that if there's an easy way to get stuff and it costs money, people will do it. Most people aren't just trying to be cheap. Most people just want something that's convenient. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, if there's a way to do it and it's reasonably priced, like Spotify and some of these other things, then most people will just do that because they want to support what they like and they're not looking to just go and steal stuff. But if you
Right.
make things impossible or insanely expensive and then there's an easy route to kind of cheap out, people will take that.
So
So
what
it's
game have
tough.
you been dying to have, but you had to go with probably like a knockoff
Yeah,
cartridge? Most
so
likely is what you got because
I
what's the original cartridge?
yeah, I'm trying to find Dragon Quest V on the DS,
Oh,
the standard DS. And you can't. It's you can buy it on eBay for a couple $100, and I just think that's too much that I want to spend on a cartridge that may or may not work from eBay, and then that's a whole thing. Which I'm sure you could send it back,
Yeah.
but there's not an easy route. You can't go to an online store and buy it right now, so that doesn't exist. And the only alternative is you could buy a pre-modded like DS or something with it loaded, or they sell those like 201 cartridges that have the games loaded. You can put into your Switch and play it. And so I bought one of
And
those, and I can play it, but I'm scared that the save file is not going to work great because I don't know what this cartridge is doing. I'm kind of just trusting it, but it sucks. There's not like any way for me to do this. So because there's not an easy way for me to purchase an original one, I am having to turn to an online, sketchy card to put in my DS. That's probably terrible and gonna break my system. I mean, there's other ways I can play the game. You can play it on your phone. They have it on Android, but I'm not one for touch controls. They don't support Bluetooth controllers, so that's out of question for me.
right.
So it's again, it's not an easy way to play it. They don't give you an option, and you can even say the same about like some Nintendo games or Xbox originals or PS2 or games that get stuck in old
Drakengard
hardware.
for me.
What's that?
Drakengard on the PS2 for me.
Yeah,
Sony
anything stuck.
killed
Like,
it.
sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Mm-mm.
But we talked about this a couple weeks ago with I think it was Metal Gear Solid 4. Is that the one that's on
Correct.
PS3? Like that game, you can only
Yes.
play it there. Like, the only other alternative other
Yeah,
than having the
it's
original game is using an emulator on your PC, which is not the
Mhm.
technical legal way. But if you can't find a PS3, which is getting harder and harder and harder to do and more expensive, or if you don't have, you have to get a controller for it, you have to have this game, you have to have all this stuff. They haven't given us an easier way to do it in today's times yet, so you're going to go to the cheapest, most reasonable option, which is get an emulator and just play it on your computer. But I
Yeah,
would
on
rather
top of
buy
it,
the
like,
game. I think all of us would. If there was like a remaster that was just the same game and re-released today, yeah, we'd be like, oh, I wish it was more. But at least it's an option. I'm sure we would just pay it and do it.
Oh yeah. That's
and
I
for
mean the Final Fantasy pixel perfect remakes are a perfect example of that, and they were already available on so many things, and
Yeah.
Square's just going to keep bringing them out even though it's
Yeah.
so dumb that it's not on Switch. I'm
Ugh,
sure there will be a Switch one
I'm holding out for it.
eventually, but like they keep re-releasing those types of games because there's always going to be people that want
Who
them.
haven't
Yeah.
played it.
it's
Yeah.
I think also from a preservation point of view, we're getting to the point where the first generation of online consoles are having their online stores shut down. We saw it with the Wii, and the PS3. They're I think next in 2 weeks they're taking away. You can still buy games, but you can't do it with a credit card. You have to buy it through your
Credit.
PSN gift cards.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
these games, there are games that are stuck on those systems. Like they never got a physical release. Like WiiWare for like when WiiWare was shutting down, I'm probably the only person that cared enough. But like I was like, I need to go buy like every single WiiWare game I ever wanted. This is the time to get it
Mhm.
because they're gone forever after this. And like the same thing with the PSP. That store shut down a few months ago. Those games are lost forever if you don't have them like in a
Either
backed up
physical
way.
or backed up.
Yeah. So and like we're seeing now the PS3's winding down its life, the Vita's winding down its life. Like next up should be the 3DS and the Wii U, and there's tons of games that are stuck on those like digital only.
PS3 itself has so many games
Yeah.
stuck on it because there's no way to play PS3 games other than the cloud.
Yep.
Yeah. Which isn't great. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's okay.
I think I read that the PS3 was the biggest console with games stuck on it that haven't been either re-released or reported or found in another medium.
I believe that the PS3 was notoriously difficult to make games for a long time. Like
Because the power cell processor.
yeah, it was
Mhm.
it was very powerful for the time, but no one knew how to use it. But like yeah, there's tons of games that are stuck on PS3 Island that are just kind of
There.
gonna stay there forever. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 is the one that everyone brings up. It's like Yeah, if you want to play one of the greatest games that Kojima's ever put out, get a PS3.
Find a PS3 that are notorious for breaking.
Yeah. Yes.
So many different. It's not the same as the Red Ring. The Red Ring was one thing that went wrong with the Xbox that just plagued 50% of the launch console edition.
3.
Like, yeah, it was bad.
3 of them.
But the
first one
PlayStation
was-
3
Yeah.
had its own yellow light of death on the first model. It had so many other just issues of hardware failure on that first model. Then they made the second model that was still like, it was like the slimmer, just still had the regular disc drive where it like pulls in the disc or whatever.
Yeah,
the
it's the one I got.
automatic disc drive. And that one had a different kind of hardware failure. I can't remember what it was. The one that had the least amount of hardware failure, but also the least amount of functionality, was the like super slim plastic box with like
The
the
one that
sliding
like
door.
the slide top that
Yeah.
sounds like you're ripping the top off every time. you
Yeah,
open it.
and the biggest point of failure with that is that the plastic breaks. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they all had their own little points of failure that they tried to address with each model, but they also stripped out features with each model. And there's so many good experiences, good games. The last Sly Cooper games were on PS3. I love Sly Cooper. Like, there's so many good things on there.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff out there. It's just like in a few years the hardware's dying out, things stop working, and then that's it. It just like
What
Well,
bad.
that's the
Well-
sad truth for every video game console. Every piece of technology will degrade over time. That's
It's
just
sad
kind of-
because it's like different than like, video game is a form of art, it's a creation somebody or a group of people make.
Mhm.
And like a picture that someone paints or draws or whatever can be stored easily, and we'll always be able to watch or look at a picture. And a movie, you can always watch it. A book, you can always read it. But gaming, because the hardware you need is so specific to what you have to run it, it makes it so difficult to preserve it and make sure everyone can continue to enjoy it in the form of art. So it is like the most complicated form of art you can think of. That's a big piece of like well known and stuff. So it's
I wish there was some kind of like video game preservation organization.
I mean that exists. There's
Mhm.
groups that do that stuff, but when you're dealing with these like, especially with online servers and stuff, it gets really tricky because you can't just go and do it yourself a lot of times. It's like you rely on these companies, and if they don't see profit for it, they don't usually want to put money on it because
that and relicensing old games
that's
is
huge
really
too.
tough. You have, because it's not just like a movie. You have everything comes from different spots. Whatever IP you're using, if it's media that isn't just gaming, like a Marvel or something like that, you have to license it with Disney. Then if you have an artist doing all of the music, you have to license it with them. And when you move on in time, you have many different parties that could have switched hands that don't care. And I think the perfect one to look at is GoldenEye on the N64. And the reason that has never been remade is you have to have MGM shaking hands with Nintendo, shaking hands with Microsoft. And since technically it's Rare is with Microsoft or whatever, Nintendo has already stated they will not see that game release on anything that isn't a Nintendo platform. MGM just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And Microsoft probably would cooperate going back towards Nintendo now that there is the Switch Online thing and Banjo-Kazooie was announced for N64 Online. That's our first like big hope, but for such a long time. That's the reason that Xbox 360 port got canceled.
There's another wrinkle in that the current video game rights for James Bond belong to Activision. So there's another wrinkle in that
it makes it more complicated.
Oh yeah,
like
that was the other thing. I knew there was something else too.
Yeah, there's like 4 companies involved in that one, which it's too bad. Like it's one of those games that's like fundamental to how first-person shooters evolved, especially on console. Because like up to that point, first-person shooters were in the Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake vein of things, and then GoldenEye kind of became Perfect Dark, which became, I guess you could say, Halo, which started twin-stick shooters at that point. Like it was kind of this whole different kind of branch on the tree, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know one
it's
thing that's really one like kind of subgenre of games that's becoming really, really hard to try to bring forward are sports games, like licensed sport, like Tony Hawk, for example. And it's all that music and all those like shoe brands and skateboard brands and things like that. Like it's you look at that and it's like that's a
yep.
nightmare. Like you
Same
gotta
thing with
like who owns this?
car games, licensing from car
Yeah,
companies, and they do the
yeah.
same thing.
Well, Forza 7 was just delisted.
Yeah,
Like that's a fairly new game and it just got delisted, or Forza whatever 6.
yeah. Anything licensed is really hard. Like a lot of the Lego games and stuff. I wonder how that's going to be in the future. Lego's a huge thing. Then Lego's doing deals with Marvel, Lord of the Rings, Batman, like DC, like everything. So it's like if you don't snatch up a physical copy of that game, that's it. And there's only so many physical copies that are made, and that's the end of it.
Look at Scott Pilgrim versus the World is probably the most famous,
Yes.
yeah.
more famous examples where it was stuck on Xbox 360 Island and delisted from there. And for years and years, people were begging Ubisoft to release a physical one, and they finally did.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the exception to the rule. A lot of the times, these games just die and you never hear from them again. Sai, you'd asked about a group that does this. They're called the Game Preservation Society. So if anyone's listening is interested in supporting a good cause, I saw a video recently. And I off the top of my head, I don't remember who it was, but basically, their next project. So a bunch of Japanese cell phones are like the company that owns them is going offline. Like they're shutting down because these are cell phones from like think of flip phones like old Nokias, but over in Japan. But they were really big like they had games come out for those things that were exclusive to Japan. And now a bunch of people are like, wait, no, these games will be lost forever after this. So their next big project is to find people who had these old Japanese cell phones from 2005 and trying to pull all the games that they can from this. I think there was like a Castlevania game that had only been released on there.
What?
Yeah, like a bunch of Castlevania was one, I think, and there was another fairly big series. I want to. Damn it, I can't remember. I don't remember what it was, but like there's these Japanese cell phone gaming was in a different took a different branch to get to where it's at today. And yeah, like all these games are like once that server or whatever goes down, they're gone forever. So they're really
GG.
working on trying to get those. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and I feel like we sometimes take a step forward with it and it gets better, and then you hear other things shutting down, and then it takes you 6 steps back. It's like, re-release of this, and it's like, well, we I guess the way we go, we can't save everything, so it is tough, and it's like especially for nostalgic stuff, it's like, oh, you want to save everything, but it's just too expensive to save it all. So
Yeah.
guess we'll see how it goes in the future. All right, the next story. I don't know if we've got time for the last. We might push our Twitch story next week because that's still kind of evolving too. On top of it all, but the last big thing that was released that has been rumored and talked about, and people have been talking about listings and ratings and stuff all over the world going on in different countries, is for this Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which is going to be including Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which were kind of I guess I would say like the heyday of these before we got to these newer ones that take 16 to 20 years to make a game, but they were kind of printing out Grand Theft Auto games every other year or so, it seemed like. What do you guys think about this, and what are your thoughts about any of it, I guess?
I'm excited. It's great. Like, I think this goes right back to what we were just talking about with game preservation.
It kind of does. I didn't even think about that. It's a great segue with this too.
And also just being able to take those games on the go is like Grand Theft. I don't even need the newest ones. Grand Theft Auto on the go.
Yeah.
Just sounds like fun. It goes back to what we were talking about with Far Cry at the beginning too. Of it doesn't need to be a new AAA experience. It can just be fun, and that's what those are.
Yeah. It's so they're not quite remasters. They're not quite remakes, but they are putting them in Unreal Engine 4 this time around, which is going to be like we haven't seen like them in motion yet, which is like I'm really excited to see like hey, what did you do to these games that came out like 25 years ago or 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, I think it like you said like it's gonna be. I'm really looking forward to a whole new group of people to get a new appreciation for these older GTA games, because these were really, like Kevin said, I think the moment the GTA went from being like, oh, it's a thing that happens every so often, to like, no, this is like a moment in games. Like you need to pay attention to these games. And like from a historic point of view, if anyone cares, it's the first time that these games show up on a Nintendo system because they're coming to Switch.
Yeah.
No. Well,
like,
these specific games.
These specific ones, yeah, there have been GTA games on Switch on Nintendo before. Like the Game Boy Color got Grand Theft Auto 2, I think.
No, wasn't it Chinatown Wars?
Chinatown's on the 3DS.
Chinatown Wars was on DS, and there was a Game Boy Advance one too.
There was the Chinatown Wars was on PSP as well.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what's even funnier is, I mean, the four of us, for people listening, we're all on the same age, early 30s, and
we're young, damn it.
When we were younger, when these games were originally released, they were technically skewed towards 18-year-olds, which we were not. At least when the first one came out, I know for sure. And I technically wasn't allowed to play these as a child. Not saying I didn't find ways to do it, and had friends whose parents didn't seem to care, but I never really spent a lot of time like playing these games. It was more of I kind of had a chance at friend's house to play through it a couple nights when you had a sleepover or something, but I've never sat and played through any of these three. I think San Andreas I played the most of because it was the newest of the three. But I didn't really start playing Grand Theft Auto games until is it 4? That was the one prior to 5? Yeah, it makes sense.
What you're saying is you didn't know how to do infinite cash.
No, I didn't.
Infinite weapon, infinite ammo, get a helicopter, fly to a building across the river and snipe people and get 5 stars, and they couldn't do anything about it.
I don't remember because I played this game a lot with friends, but I don't remember anything about this. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no, so many hours at friends' houses.
Yeah, that was it. Because it was funny because my mom found out I was playing this, and it was the only game she's like, "Look, I've heard of this. I don't want you playing this one game," and that was like it. But I always went to friends' houses and played it, and she had no idea. I don't know why it was like this was the only game. She didn't think about any other game, which also was quite violent and crazy. But for some reason, just because it was on the news, and what's that?
They pushed a huge narrative on.
Yeah, they did. It was like
no one talked about Saints Row.
Yeah, no one talked about.
You could kill people with a dildo in that game, and that was not on the news.
That was not on the news. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the Switch review of this, or the copy of it to have, so I can take it on the go, just like you said, Mike. I did notice that they did say that it is coming to iOS and Android as well, which.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Isn't San Andreas already on iOS?
Yes. Yeah, they have mobile versions. What they're going to do is they're removing like GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas from Steam and iOS and mobile right now, and then they're replacing them with these new ones.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I would rather have it on the Switch if I'm doing mobile. I just like to have the actual controls, the touch controls, or trying to use a controller with it just doesn't always work great.
The only one I'd really be interested out of the 3 is San Andreas, and that's because it's the only one I really never played. Like I beat 3 in Vice Cities, and I got all those cheats and exploits. But San Andreas.
I was gonna say, plus you need to understand all of the CJ memes that happen online.
Man, there are so many. It's the reason why I would play that game is just because of all the freaking CJ memes.
I don't even know any of that. I don't even know who CJ is. That's how out of this world of Grand Theft Auto I am.
Oh shit! Here we go again. Is the one that
yes.
I use in my
oh
every
shit!
day.
He would go again.
I ain't seen Rose Street in 5 years. It's like one of my friend's favorite sayings. He says it every time. It's like, can you shut up with that?
I remember the commercials for San Andreas was that Guns N' Roses song, the Welcome to the Jungle. I remember watching it as a child, and I wanted to play this game so bad. My mom was like, "We're not beating that. It's just not for you." And I was like, "No, please let me play this. This game looks so badass."
Vice City had is it Phil Collins in the air tonight? Was a specialty with that one because you could go into one of the bars and they had Phil Collins sitting there on the drums. So that was like a big deal. And I'm curious to see if that's still in it with licensing issues again.
Good point. Yeah.
What about all that? Wasn't San Andreas the hot coffee game that had all that stuff going on? And
I did.
They patched that out though. Years and years.
You're not gonna get that in this game. I don't remember what it was. It was some type of. I know this is a semi-family friendly show, but it was something very inappropriate or something like with a prostitute or?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
basically you could see stuff.
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was. I remember hearing about it, but it seemed like it's so long ago. Yeah, that was a hot mess of stuff. So, yeah, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy is kind of a big deal, and I'm excited to play through. At least I really want to play through Vice City more. That was the one I feel like I didn't touch at all. I played 3. I thought it was okay. San Andreas I played a bit, but I don't think I even touched Vice City. I have a guidebook for Vice City, but I never had the game, so I don't know why or how that came about.
I did find it weird though that they showed off. They announced these games. They didn't show them, and they didn't say when they were coming out. They were just like, "We're making Grand Theft Auto Remastered."
Yeah, they're
I
probably
think it was because they already knew it
Everybody
leaked
knew.
like
Yes,
a month and a half ago. So
they're like, all right,
it's like,
screw it. Everybody won't shut up about this. Let's just tell them it's actually coming.
yeah.
That's true.
All right.
I probably won't play 3 or last thing. I was just gonna say I won't play 3 or Vice Cities because I already played it. But I mean, I don't like when new games get remastered like that. I don't really. If I've beaten it already, I don't want to go back and redo the same thing. I feel like I really enjoy like playing new games or games I haven't played. So I would play San Andreas, but I don't know if I do anything.
And you can play it on your Switch now.
Yeah.
And I can play it on my Switch now.
Yeah, on the go just makes
So-
everything better. I'm telling you. I don't know why.
Especially RPGs.
Ah,
There's something
yes.
about an RPG
Yes.
being able to take it with you.
Octopath Traveler, like we were talking about it earlier, like it's always in my Switch because I'm like, this is the perfect amount of like bite-sized RPG.
I love
need
that.
on the go.
I bet that looks
Also-
incredible on the OLED screen too.
Oh, it
Yeah.
probably does.
Also, I know you're trying to, I think, probably wrap up, but
Yeah.
Hazahi, have you ever played Pokemon?
Yeah, but only up to gold and silver.
You can
So-
play the new
Only up
Pokemon
to
game.
I
12
was
years
gonna
ago.
ask you guys, but I don't want to get too into this. Which Pokemon game should I like? Should I get Sword and Shield or which?
Oh,
This
That's
is
man.
so
actually a
fun.
good question. I don't know the answer.
If
I-
you want to get nostalgic and
Yeah, I
wet
was
your
just gonna say that.
like
Go
wet
for
your
it.
toes a little bit, go with the Let's Go games.
They're
They're
so
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
If you played the original games, you're gonna have fun with
And
them.
here's the
If you
part no one
didn't,
talks about
you
with those
probably wouldn't.
games. You can play with one hand, Zahi, so you can eat and play the game at the same time.
yeah,
That's true.
Because it's only a
Don't
one
get-
controller. You only need one Joy-Con to play the whole thing. So I remember I would like
Don't-
play while I was like folding laundry in my living room. It's awesome. I really liked that game.
Don't do the mistake I did and get the little Pokeball controller though. It will break your hand. It is made for a 3-year-old. It's so like
did
I was-
think it was easier to get perfect throws with it.
I don't care. I had carpal tunnel from it. Like it hurt for like a
It
month.
looked pretty small.
It's like this big. I don't know. Like it's showing up on camera, and our Spotify listeners like I have no idea what you're talking about. But like
Like a hand.
it's like
I have it somewhere around here.
I hurt my hand so bad with that thing. But yeah, Let's Go is a good place to start. Like, I mean, the Diamond and Pearl remake come out in a month.
Yeah, I'm
Ugh.
excited.
Ugh,
That's
I
gonna be
can't wait
good.
for those. It's gonna look so good on the OLED screen too.
Oh,
Yeah.
frig, I gotta get an OLED now.
You
Everyone's
do. It
hyping
looks
me
so
up.
good, Alex. It looks like it just
like,
it really makes a
Pokemon-
difference.
Pokemon is the kind of game like there are Switch games. I'm like that's a TV game. I don't want to play that on the.
I agree. There are
on
certain
hand.
games like that. I agree.
Pokemon is not one of those.
No,
games.
it's
Pokemon
not.
I want to play. I want to play everywhere.
Any type of turn-based RPG, slow motion game, I want handheld. I think that's just how I love playing all of
Yeah.
them. And now that you can use Bluetooth headphones with your Switch and you have an OLED screen, it's just life's good. Life's good. But all right, I'm gonna end it there. We've been going pretty long. Thank you guys, everybody, for listening. Mike, thanks for joining us again. It's always a
of
pleasure to
course.
have
Thank you,
you
Mike.
on. It's tons of opinions and conversations and everything. So thank you, Zahi and Alex. Thanks also for you guys for coming in, and we will see you
No worries.
next week. Uh-oh. What?
I always want to say that make sure to like and
Oh, yeah.
subscribe. Help us grow with the YouTube thing.
Yes.
it.
Like and
Ring the
subscribe.
bell.
Click the
Help us
that-
like cable and grow.
Hit
Yeah.
that bell.
Heck yeah.
and look
just-
forward to some new
punch
reviews
it
coming for
over
a
and over
really
again.
shitty volleyball game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look forward to that.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Well,
All right. We'll see you guys later.
I have a good
Bye.
night. Bye.